Unfiltered podcast with Pastor Jay and Ren.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime. My name is Jada McLeod. So today we're going to be talking about some things that are happening in the news, just giving you guys some updates on what's going on in the news. So as per usual, as we have these discussions, you can always head to our social media. You can watch on YouTube, Facebook, our website, or you can message us on WhatsApp if it is that you have any additions or anything that you want to discuss particularly, or any comments on the discussions. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about is about the Sean Combs or the Diddy trial, well known as the Diddy trial. It's been littering the news this past couple of weeks as Diddy was arrested. Sean Combs Diddy was arrested last year in September for a number of charges, which includes racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. But there's been a little bit of an update in the case. One of Sean Diddy Combs' former employees has testified that the hip-hop mogul kidnapped her at gunpoint, then broke into another musician, a rapper, Scott Mescudi, better known as Kid Cudi's home, in a plot to kill him. The name of the employee is Capricorn Clark. She was working on and off for Mr. Combs for more than a decade, and when she was called to trial, she testified that Sean Combs and a security guard of his had shown up to her apartment in 2011 and forced her to drive with them to Kid Cudi's home. Now, the reason why we're talking about Kid Cudi is because he was recently he testified as well against Diddy a couple of days ago, about 6 days ago, and had some really damning things to say about him. So take a look at this video for more information.
Testimony in federal court. This is in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. On the stand today is the defendant's former assistant. Her name is Capricorn Clark. At any moment, the jury will return from their lunch break and hear more of the cross-examination from Diddy's former assistant. While there's a break in the action there, let's bring in Scripps News Group reporter Alex Miller, who is outside that federal courthouse. Hi there, Alex. What are the key moments you're seeing inside court today?
But we are really learning that Capricorn Clark really lived in fear from day one of working for Sean Combs. Her very first day, he found out that she had worked for rival Suge Knight. He took her into Central Park after 9 p.m. and threatened her life if anything happened to him. And that was just the first day that she worked for him. There were other days where he suspected that she stole jewelry from him. That turned into 5 days of lie detector tests and threats of being thrown into the East River. She had to work long hours hours for him, something that we saw in the indictment, a superseding indictment for Sean Combs, 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. with no meal breaks and constant threats of being fired, to the point where Capricorn Clark says that she had stress-induced alopecia because of how much pressure was on her while she worked for Sean Combs. Her first time working for him, she eventually went back to work for him under other titles, but as his personal assistant, ended in his Miami house after she had told his chef that she didn't like working for him, and he threatened her right there and pushed her physically 30 yards. After that, she said she had to leave working for him, but not before one of those incidents that we have heard from all different angles. We heard from Kid Cudi, we heard from Cassie Ventura about that December 2011 break into Kid Cudi's house. Now, Capricorn Clark is the link in this entire story. She is the one who informed Cassie Ventura that that Kid Cudi's house was going to be broken into. Turns out that Sean Combs showed up at Capricorn Clark's house banging on the door. When she opened it, she saw that he was holding a gun, that his pants were completely ripped, showing his underwear, and that he was yelling at her, asking her, "Why didn't you tell me about this relationship?" He forced his way into her home and made her come with him to Kid Cudi's house. He told her that they were going to kill Kid Cudi. She was obviously very frightened. Her voice has been quivering on the stand all morning long. When she got there, she witnessed Combs and a security guard enter Kid Cudi's home, and that is when she called Cassie Ventura, who was with Kid Cudi, to tell him exactly what was happening. She eventually was forced to go get Cassie Ventura and bring her to Sean Combs, where she witnessed him beating her up, kicking her repeatedly. So these are the kinds of incidents that we have seen corroborated by other employees. We've now seen it corroborated by Capricorn Clark, and also the other tasks that she was being forced to perform, which is a very big part of the prosecution's case, that she had to go set up these hotel rooms, that she had to procure drugs for him, things of that nature. They need this kind of testimony in order to prove this racketeering charge. She's back on the stand right now, and she's going to be cross-examined by defense attorney Mark Agnifilo. So we'll bring you more updates on that as we hear from her on the stand.
Alex, thank you so much for that update.
So it's interesting, kind of insane that Capricorn Clark would have had to live through circumstances like that. And as we hear, what she is saying has been corroborated by other employees as well. I mean, of course, we don't take things as we hear it. We need to let the case unfold. And Diddy is still innocent until proven guilty. But the reason why Kid Cudi, or Scott Mescudi, how he's even involved in this, is that he was involved romantically with Cassie Ventura, and I'm not too sure if you would know, but Cassie was Diddy's long-term girlfriend. So Kid Cudi was involved with Cassie, and that's another reason why Diddy wasn't too fond of Kid Cudi or Scott Mescudi. Testifying last week Thursday, Mescudi said that he believed Diddy had something to do with his car being firebombed. He would have told the jury that he got a call from his dog sitter sometime when he was out in 2012, informing that his Porsche sitting in his driveway was up in flames. When he got to the house, he found that there was a remnants of a Molotov cocktail on the ground near his car. There was ash on the leather seats, and smoke residue that was clouding the driver's seat window. And he said that he believed it was intentional, and he told the court that his damaged car could not be repaired. Because he would have suspected that it was because of Diddy, he arranged to meet up with Diddy at a restaurant the next day. And he told him, "I knew you had something to do with it." And that was what he testified. It was from what we've heard from reporters, very lively testament. So at the meeting, he recalled Diddy was staring out of the window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. That's one of the things that he said. He said both men came to realize that they had been played by Cassie Ventura, who was dating them both at the same time. So he just would have suspected that Diddy would have done that because they both were involved with Cassie Ventura. So that's how Kid Cudi is sort of involved in this. And shortly after, that's when his ex-assistant, ex-many things, Capricorn Clark, would have been asked to go with Diddy to intimidate, or in this case, kill Kid Cudi. Reasons as to why he would have chosen Capricorn Clark is unknown. It's specifically, she was in a more vulnerable place. She was involved with another one of his rivals, not romantically, but professionally. And it was a secret that she sort of kept from him. And when he found that out, he said, well, you have to come with me now. We have to keep it under wraps. So there's a lot of intimidation that goes on there. Some people think Diddy is completely guilty and deserves to rot in jail. Other people are saying that he deserves to be heard out. Time will tell. When the trial is over, we will learn. But so far, the things that are coming out have been pretty hard to hear, pretty damning. I recall that his daughters, and I can get the names for you, but his daughters attended one of the trials, and they actually had to walk out after hearing what was being said about their father. I mean, that could be a very difficult thing to go through. So that is what's happening really in entertainment news right now. That's an update on the Diddy trial, Sean Combs trial, and we'll continue to cover it. Any major updates that come out of the trial, we'll make sure to let you know. And of course, when a verdict is reached as to what happens to the future of Sean Combs, we'll definitely inform you guys on what's going on there. So I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit away from international entertainment news to something that's lighting up news right here in Trinidad and Tobago. The recent, or the newly formed government the UNC government has come out, and I'm sure you guys would know this, but the Stand Your Ground laws. New Attorney General John Jeremy says Trinidad and Tobago will be the first country in the Caribbean to implement Stand Your Ground legislation, which will give homeowners the legal right to protect themselves and their property using possible deadly force in self-defense. This is something that's been discussed before, but this is the first time we're seeing any action. They say that they want to bring this before Parliament before the end of the year, so this is something that we can be seeing before Christmas, which will be, again, the first of its kind in the Caribbean, and definitely a shift for the criminal to citizen ratio in Trinidad and Tobago. So take a look at this video.
A third one has to do with stand your ground laws and home invasion laws. So the cabinet, excuse me, on a note brought from our Minister of Homeland Security, 2 notes. We agreed that a special committee be established to evaluate and make proposals for an effective suite of measures to enable citizens to properly defend themselves and to properly defend property when faced with a threat by criminal actors. This special committee will make recommendations for an appropriate stand your ground law in Trinidad and Tobago. Data gathered by CAPA, the Crime and Problem Analysis Branch of the TTPS, shows that there has been significant increases in burglaries in almost every division in both Trinidad and Tobago, and that citizens in rural areas are particularly vulnerable to this type of criminal activity because of the relatively long distance, in rural areas, neighbors being apart, the distances that they cover in the rural areas. It is a particular dangerous situation for families. Therefore, we are working on the development of targeted and coordinated policing approaches and the enactment of an effective suite of legislative provisions, as I say, required to combat this activity in Trinidad and Tobago. We established a special committee, and they will come to us with their recommendations as we try to keep our promise to make TNT a safer place. We have another one Similarly, a committee to be established to deal with home invasions. So we have the Stand Your Ground Laws Committee and one to deal with home invasions. We have established several key subcommittees for in-depth and focused decision making. So these are some of the things we've been working on, which the Cabinet has approved today, and we'll start work on them as fast as tomorrow.
So, I mean, let's be clear. Let's take this from a more, like a wider perspective. The fear is real. I'm sure at least once or twice in your maybe life and living in Trinidad and Tobago, you felt, I mean, I can speak for myself, you felt a sense of fear that anybody can break into your home, or anybody can stop you right outside of your house, or when somebody can do you some harm. I'm sure some of us have felt, or most of us have felt that fear before. I know that I have, specifically coming from the area that I'm living in, unfortunately, which is the Laventille area. It doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to safety. So I know that I've felt that fear before. So when you have citizens, as the Prime Minister rightfully said, when you're in more rural areas where it may take a little bit longer for the police to respond, the fear is real. You have to have some confidence that you'll be able to defend yourself. So home invasions they've been rising. People don't feel safe in their own spaces. So when the Attorney General comes out and says, your home is your castle, and the Prime Minister, a couple of, I believe years ago, she shouted, empty the whole clip in reference to if a criminal is barging into your home or with intent to harm or kill you, you need to be able to pull out your gun and empty the whole clip and then be shielded from any sense of legal retribution. So it resonates with the public. I've heard many sides of many views on this debate. Some people who are more in favor of it, and then people who think that it may not be the best idea, or we're just borrowing from a more Western context. Specifically with the US, this is their stand your ground law. People like myself, I think I take a more neutral approach. I think it can be good. It can be a net good for our country. We just need to enact proper legislation surrounding it, because if you're putting guns in the hands of people who have racial biases, who have sexist or gender biases, people who just may not be the kindest, nicest people, the most competent people, can I speak so freely? So you're putting a gun, a killing device in the hands of some people who may not be able to properly use it. So we need proper legislation surrounding it, and I believe, as you would have heard the Prime Minister saying, that what's happening right now is that they're putting together a Stand Your Ground committee. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander is in charge of putting together that committee, which that committee will come up with certain recommendations for Attorney General John Jeremy to draft some sort of legislation that can go before Parliament. So when he was asked about what types of legislation that they are looking at, he wasn't able to answer at this point in time, because it's not coming from him, it's coming from the committee, which it's coming from the committee. So that's all we can report on right now. I do hope that they're able to give us some sort of update soon, because this is a very exciting, I believe everybody would think that is a very exciting endeavor that the government is taking on here. So stand your ground laws, as seen in the US, have had troubling consequences before. There's a lot of legal gray areas, racial disparities in enforcement, a lot of situations that can happen if there's not properly enforced laws, because you can have the laws, but are they properly enforced by the bodies that are supposed to see to that? Questions of what constitutes a reasonable threat. If somebody is walking in front of your yard and you may have had problems or conflict with them before, what is that? What is a reasonable threat? If you believe they're coming to harm you, but they don't have anything on them to harm you, maybe they just want to shout or they just want to carry on or just cause bacchanal, and you were to pull out your gun, who would be the aggressor there? Most likely it will be you, but the law has to specify and state that. So it needs to be very clear, very comprehensive. Because it's one thing to defend your family in a clear-cut break-in where someone is holding your family at gunpoint. It's another when bias, fear, adrenaline, and bad judgment collides. You know, a normal person can have those four, what I call a deadly mix, a deadly toxic mix. One person can have that, and then it could result into something that is deadly. It results in something that we don't want to hear about and we don't want to encourage. So we must ask ourselves, will this law truly empower the vulnerable or just put the gun in the hands of people who want to make more people vulnerable? So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at right now. We're yet to hear more information on it. We're just being told that they're moving really quickly. They want to bring this before Parliament before the end of the year, which it will be a good thing for the UNC government. It will show that they have been putting in the work where necessary and making good on their promises to the citizens of the country. So personally, I do believe that the citizens, we have the right to defend ourselves. The government also has a responsibility to protect citizens before they're forced to draw a weapon. So that also means we have to talk about issues of policing, quicker response times, and meaningful crime prevention, not just telling people to, as the Prime Minister would have quoted before, light them up or empty the clip. So yes, it is legislation that we can debate. It is an issue that we can debate, but as of right now, we don't have the proper legislation to debate on. So when they bring that before us, we can have a discussion on that. I think one thing that we were looking into getting is somebody from the Law Association to come and help us break down what it is we should be looking at, the kind of laws that we should be looking at. If you are interested in a conversation like that, of course, you can WhatsApp us at 682-9376, or you can comment on the Facebook or any of our social media and let us know that that's something that you'd be interested in hearing about, or if there are any other issues that you are interested in hearing being discussed, or if you have any questions to ask an expert, let us know, and of course we will do our very best to bring them on and have that discussion for you. So as of right now, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back with you, so stay with us.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
The Little Store offers you a great shopping experience and cool comfort with knowledgeable, helpful staff. Our large aisles and well-organized shelves are filled with quality puja materials, incense sticks, tasty mithai, and homemade yogurt. Come to us for all your Indian groceries and spices, SAS paper sahari leaves, household items, sewing supplies, religious books, and lots more. You can depend on the Little Store, your store. It's an honor to serve you.
When it comes to Pira and Laddu, I just use Chatak's Laddu and Pira Mithai Mix. It's a combination of traditional ingredients in one pack. I don't spend all that time preparing different ingredients like Ma. 3/4 of the work is done. So now I can make fresh, delicious Pira and Laddu in about 15 minutes with the convenience of Chatak's Laddu and Pira Mithai Mix. Now Ma's Kitchen is a Chatta kitchen. Now available Gulab Jamun Instant Mithai Mix.
Her voice has mesmerized us for years.
And now, in a rare treat for music fans,
Shakuntala and Friends in concert, featuring Shakuntala Jangbahadur. Singing sensation Deval Chaitlal, brilliant musician Dr. Shivanan Maharaj, master flautist and saxophonist Narendra Maharaj, with music from Shiv Sangeet Orchestra, Shakuntala and Friends in concert.
Shakuntala, Tala.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
All right, welcome back to AM Prime on WESN. So I am Jada McLeod. We are heading now, we're continuing with the news updates that we were talking about before. So we're still in our Caribbean territory here, but we're heading a little, I think it's left, to South America, so across the waters in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro has claimed yet another election victory. He is known as being the indestructible Maduro. So Venezuela's ruling coalition, led by the president Nicolas Maduro, has won the parliamentary and regional elections by a landslide. He's maintained a significant majority in the powerful National Assembly, according to the country's electoral authority. But this also comes with widespread allegations of suppression and irregularities. So what does this win really mean for the people of Venezuela? Does this represent any sort of proper democracy at work? What are the regional implications? How will it affect us here in Trinidad? Because as we tend to receive a lot of Venezuelan migrants escaping what's going on there in Venezuela for a better life. So take a look at this video.
Venezuelans headed to the polls on Sunday to elect governors and members of the National Assembly in an election the opposition called a sham. But President Nicolás Maduro said the government dismantled a network whose aim was to sabotage the elections.
We did it. We managed to hold the election without incident and managed to defeat the violence that terrorists had prepared for the country. The violent ones, the fascists.
But members of the opposition say those detained during the government raids were human rights activists, journalists and members of the opposition, including Juan Pablo Guanipa, a close ally of opposition leader María Corina Machado, who boycotted the elections. Machado said on Sunday the majority of the Venezuelans disobeyed the government and did not vote.
Today, the country crushed them once again. With intelligence and acting with our strategy, we revealed this great farce. People did what they feared, they massively disobeyed them. A conscientious and brave disobedience.
The government also elected a governor and 8 members of the National Assembly to represent the Essequibo region, an area Venezuela claims, but is controlled by Guyana. In the past years, Venezuela has made efforts to assert control over this oil-rich area, creating tension with its South American neighbor that considers Venezuela's claims a threat. The dispute is now before the International Court of Justice.
The election has a historical and symbolic meaning that we, as Venezuelans, have to applaud, because it ratifies the democratic and peaceful position of Venezuela and ratifies the historic position we have over the Essequibo.
The election allowed the ruling party to celebrate what it considers a victory. But for many in the country, it was a farce.
So this election has been hailed as political theater, as only 42% of the electorate turned out to vote, and that was under much pressure. Maduro's ruling coalition confirms That with 82%, he got 82% of the vote and near total control of governorship. So the United Socialist Party, which is Maduro's party, isn't just winning. It's quoted as locking the door on democracy and throwing away the key. So the question I asked in the beginning, is the democratic process really allowed to happen? It doesn't seem so. So there's, again, we tend to be a little bit more diplomatic here, but it's pretty obvious that citizens aren't, of course, allowed to exercise their own democratic rights. It is not a fair fight. Opposition parties were fractured. They've been chased out of the country. Key figures called for a boycott, and we saw that, with only less than half of the electorate showing up to vote. So it wasn't a level playing field at all. So the National Assembly now functions more like a rubber stamp than a check on executive power, and Maduro's so-called victory of peace feels more like the silencing of any dissent. There's any dissent or any criticism that pops up or that anybody harbors for the Maduro-led governments, they're quickly shut down. Journalists have been silenced and thrown in jail. So perhaps the most alarming part of the election, which speaks to regional cooperation, was the creation of a governorship for Essequibo, which is the disputed territory claimed by Guyana. So this move is hailed as being bold, aggressive, and dangerous. It bypasses international law and defies a pending ICJ, International Court of Justice ruling, and makes regional conflict feel chillingly possible. So what does that really mean for Trinidad and Tobago? Venezuela's move to claim Essequibo from Guyana by creating a governorship for the territory signals possible regional destabilization. Trinidad and Tobago, we're pretty close with both Guyana and Venezuela, but we may be now forced to take a very clear position if the conflict escalates. I mean, just a couple of months ago, we were in a huge trade deal with Venezuela, so we were on good terms, and sort of still are on good terms with Venezuela. And now we are on really good terms with Guyana. So what that means now is we're right next to Venezuela, so we don't want to make an enemy out of, again, they're very large, they're larger in size. We don't want to make an enemy out of Venezuela, but we may now have to not remain as diplomatic. We can't be Switzerland, essentially. We can't be neutral. We may have to take a side. So CARICOM, which now, of course, includes Trinidad and Tobago, may face internal division over how to respond. This is an MSU. I'm waiting to hear a little bit more from CARICOM on how they would choose to respond, especially with Guyana being a CARICOM member and Venezuela acting so aggressively. How would they choose to defend themselves? That is a question. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can answer that. So another thing we know now is Guyana has now a booming oil industry. So now they're a major competitor in the region. Guyana, Suriname, and Venezuela. They're all competitors now in the oil industry. So that's another thing that may bring Guyana and Venezuela head to head. So there's a lot of geopolitical tensions in the region that we need to consider. We also have increased migration pressure. Maduro, of course, tightening his grip on the economy and sort of hanging a noose around his citizens' necks by sanctions and mismanagement of funds. More Venezuelans will flee the country, as we've seen the surge of migration out of Venezuela into neighboring countries, and of course we are right there next to Venezuela. So we took in a lot of the influx. Trinidad and Tobago, we're right across the Gulf of Paria, so we'll be continuing to be a primary destination for Venezuelan migrants. We can possibly even look to see another surge, and I'm not too sure. I doubt the government will open our borders. We are already overrun. Our services have already been strained. We don't have enough schools for the population, healthcare. All of these things we need to take into consideration, and we need to be able to provide for our citizens first, and then be able to provide for anybody else. You know, you must pour into your cup and then pour to others from the overflow. And right now, we don't really have any overflow. We have too many people that we need to see about. So if we are expecting another influx of Venezuelan migrants, we're probably not going to open our borders anytime soon for legal migration. So what may happen is illegal migration. The question arises if we have proper border control, border security control, no corruption at the border. All of these things we have to take into consideration because the population will steadily rise and we may not see it reflected in the numbers that are being reported in migration, but we will see it by the strain on the healthcare system. We'll see it when there are no more beds at the hospital, which is a common problem. We'll see it when we realize the schools, the ratio of teacher to students has increased dramatically. Right now, I believe there's an average 30 in primary schools. Primary schools, we have an average of 30 to 1 teacher to 30 students. That's insane. Who's learning in that environment? Who's getting proper targeted education in that environment? So I'm personally not for either side. I do believe that we should help where necessary, but we need to be able to help, and we're not going to be able to help if our own services are overrun. So we also have to look at energy and economic impacts. Would we ever get to have a deal like the Dragon Gas deal with Venezuela again if we choose to side more so with Guyana? Maduro may take President Nicolas Maduro may take more of a hard stance against Trinidad right now. And of course, we don't want that. Again, we're right there. We can stand on the edge of Trinidad, look across and see Venezuela. We are right there. So that is another thing we need to look at. Do we want to risk angering Nicolas Maduro? So national security concerns, and it's a warning sign for democracy for Venezuela. But of course, we do wish them the best in terms of we want them to have a proper functioning government. We want democracy to be at the helm, proper democracy, efficient democracy to be at the helm of their governance structure. So we can only wish them the best. But as of right now, we're not seeing that may be a reality for them anytime soon. So we are sticking with regional news. We're moving on from Venezuela and heading to Suriname. In Suriname, voters headed to the polls last Sunday with a lot of anticipation. Usually the country has been overrun by poverty, rampant inflation, but now they are set to receive what is being hailed as over $10 billion over the next 10 years, over the next decade or so, due to a much anticipated oil boom. So Suriname has now begun to elect a new parliament, which will subsequently choose the next president of what they are the smallest nation in South America. So take a look at this video.
Suriname, South America's smallest country, is preparing for an influx of wealth spurred by planned exploitation of newly discovered offshore crude deposits. Beginning in 2028, French group Total Energy plans to extract as much as 220,000 barrels of crude oil per day, with Suriname poised to rake in about $10 billion in the next decade or two. The change in fortunes comes as Suriname battles high debt, rampant inflation, and poverty affecting nearly 1 in 5 of its 600,000 inhabitants. The country has created a sovereign wealth fund similar to Norway's in order to put money aside for tough times.
When you don't have money as a country, when you're bankrupted, you can have nice ideas, good plans, good programs, but you cannot implement it. We are now able, and we do have the capacity to do more for our people so that everyone can be part of the growth of my nation.
President Chan Santoki announced this week that royalties from fossil fuel extraction will also be distributed among the populace, with each Surinamese citizen receiving $750 in a cash grant. The elderly and disabled are already receiving payouts. The majority of the population will have to wait until the oil is sold, however, which is still years away. Santoki's announcement came just days before Sunday's tight parliamentary elections, in which no party has a clear lead. The new parliament will in turn choose the next president, and Santoki is seeking a second term. During his 5 years as president, Santoki has come under fire for austerity measures and tax hikes implemented as part of restructuring required by the International Monetary Fund.
So kudos to Suriname for having taking part in a proper democratic process to choose a new parliament that will elect their new president. That will lead until 2030. So they have the same 5 years that we do in Trinidad and Tobago. So as we heard on the video there, they're on the cusp of a massive oil boom. That's what any country wants to hear because it will, of course, add more money, foreign exchange, job opportunities into the country. So the country right now, I guess, as I said earlier, they have been stricken with a lot of poverty. A lot of people, I think it's 1 in 5 people, as we heard in the video, that are living below the poverty line, which is a lot of people. They don't have that larger population. So they have major international players like Shell and Chevron gearing up to drill in this position to Suriname, along with, as I would have said before, along with Guyana as key competitors and potential partners for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. So in some of our subsequent conversations and interviews that we'll be having, we are talking about, we're meeting with some analysts on the possibility of working with Suriname in the next coming years, or the possibility of working with Guyana, which will be best for the country. We will also revisit the conversation of working with Venezuela, but as of right now, we know that's kind of deadlocked as our OFAC license has been revoked. So Trinidad and Tobago may face increased competition in attracting foreign investment and skilled labor in the energy sector. As of right now, the question arises if Trinidad and Tobago is the key partner, the key trade partner for a country like Guyana, because they have other investors, they have other people that they want to work with that are interested in working with them, that at this point in time can provide them a little bit more money, which is more incentive to go with somebody else other than Trinidad and Tobago. So it's almost like a bidding game. Can we outbid a country like the US or a country like Canada? Can we outbid, not necessarily Canada, but a country like the US? Can we outbid them? What will make Guyana want to work with Trinidad? So that's another reason why we kind of have to stay as Switzerland. We have to be neutral because we don't want to anger Guyana. We don't want to anger Venezuela because we're right there. But we need to choose a position so that Guyana will either know that we're on their side or Venezuela will know that we're on their side. So we're in a pretty mangly place right now, and we have to watch exactly how our leaders will respond. It's very important that they respond with caution and diplomacy because we don't want to anger either side. We want to be able to work with Guyana. We don't want to anger Guyana. But at the same time, we're very close to Venezuela. So Suriname's need for refining services and downstream expertise presents opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago's energy services sector. So we want partnerships with Suriname. And I believe that would be, we're a shoo-in for something like that. Trinidad and Tobago can play a support role in training, technology transfer, and logistics if regional cooperation is prioritized. So as of right now, what's going on with the Surinamese elections? As we said before, they have chosen their parliament, which will come together to choose the next president. It's kind of a neck-and-neck race. I believe the opposition has a bit of a, they have a clearer lead right now. So the president of the country, believe it is VHP. The president of the country has come in second, but of course that's not how it works. The parliament has to come together now and choose which party will lead the country or will have the president. So that's where we're at right now. We're waiting to see what happens. I believe that there was an update that took place last night, but I'm leaving that particular conversation for when we discuss with our analyst, because we'll get more information there. So yes, I give kudos to Suriname for having a democratic process, for exercising the democratic right. I believe over 80% of the people showed up, 80% of the electorate showed up for this vote. So it is a good exercise in democracy, and we should all learn something from Suriname. So we're going to take another short break, and we will be right back with you. Please know that it is Wild Wednesday, so we have Mr. Ricardo Mead coming up on the program, joining us via Zoom today, where we'll be learning all about a very interesting animal. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with you.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and start your wellness journey today.
The Little Store offers you a great shopping experience in cool comfort with knowledgeable, helpful staff. Our large aisles and well-organized shelves are filled with quality puja materials, incense sticks, tasty mithai, and homemade yogurt. Come to us for all your Indian groceries and spices, SAS paper sahari leaves, household items, sewing supplies, religious books, and lots more. You can depend on the Little Store, your store. It's an honor to serve you.
When it comes to pira and laddu, I just use Chataks laddu and pira mithai mix. It's a combination of traditional ingredients in one pack. I don't spend all that time preparing different ingredients like Ma. 3/4 of the work is done. So now I can make fresh, delicious pira and laddu in about 15 minutes with the convenience of Chataks laddu and pira mithai mix. Now Ma's Kitchen is a Chatak kitchen. Now available Gulab Jamun instant mithai mix.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the Castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TNT.
Here is your WESN News on the hour. I'm Naomi Maknesh. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Deadly end to police shootout after stolen car chase. Tobago children using marijuana edibles, says THA official. Princestown residents demand reopening of fire station and calls for overhaul of ODPM after slow emergency responses. Now for the details. 2 of 3 suspects who were involved in a shootout with police on May 26th are now dead. The men were seen in a car stolen from a TT rideshare driver who was robbed the night before in Pitti Valley. Police spotted the stolen vehicle in Trin City around 1:15 a.m. After a high-speed chase, the suspects abandoned the car in Dabadi. All 3 were later found with gunshot wounds. 1 died at the scene and another passed away later that day. Police have not yet released their identities. A top health official in Tobago is raising alarm over rising drug use among young children. Director of Social Protection Dr. Hanif Benjamin says children under 10 are consuming edible marijuana. He made the remarks during a 2-day drug prevention training for preschool educators on May 21st and 22nd. The session held by the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program aims to help teachers implement age-appropriate drug education. Dr. Benjamin stressed the need for insight before action and said Tobago is facing a negative first in early-age drug exposure. There are renewed calls to reopen the Princestown fire station after a May 18 blaze destroyed part of a home in Buen Intento. It reportedly took fire officers from Monterey Post 45 minutes to arrive. Time residency could have been cut to 5 minutes if the local station had been operational. The station was listed for reconstruction since July, along with those in Siparia and Rio Claro. Line Minister Roger Alexander says a temporary site is being considered to get officers back in service, though no timeline has been given. MP Dr. Rashad Sicharan Ali says the trauma of recent fires highlights the urgency for a solution. Public Utilities Minister Barry Patterath is pushing for better disaster response systems, citing delays by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management. Speaking after the National Climate Outlook Forum on May 21st, Patterath said the ODPM lacks capacity and coordination. He plans to meet with the Line Minister Roger Alexander to explore legislative fixes and improve staffing. Rural Development Minister Khadija Amin also raised concerns about under-resourced disaster units at regional corporations, calling for urgent investment in staff, equipment and infrastructure without waiting for new laws. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi Maknish. Thanks for watching.
Her voice has mesmerized us for years.
And now, in a rare treat for music fans,
Shakuntala and Friends in concert, featuring Shakuntala Jangbahadur. Singing sensation Deval Chaitlal, brilliant musician Dr. Shivanan Maharaj, master flautist and saxophonist Narendra Maharaj, with music from Shiv Sangeet Orchestra, Shakuntala and Friends in concert.
Shakuntala.
I am Dr. Delphina Ovid, your friendly neighborhood dentist. At Community Hospital Dental Clinic, we offer examinations which include x-rays, basic oral cancer screening, and a treatment plan. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canal treatment, and complete and partial dentures. Remember, you don't have to brush and floss all your teeth, just the ones you want to keep.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital.
Morning, are you hearing me now? That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I the national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League.
This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
Break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar
Why? You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots.
As one of our guys
Let's go to
said.
Let's go to the last part.
I use the opportunity today since I am far away from Jada to bring her favorite animal.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug.
You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
They focus on the woman who's being the victim, or the man is being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain. How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI. Worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Good morning and welcome back to AM Prime. So as we said, we know we have Wild Wednesday on today, and of course I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Miss Naomi McNish. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, guys. I'm very happy to be here. You know, we had a rough morning, but I'm here now and I'm excited for Wild Wednesday, as I am every week.
What I said before is that we were having Wild Wednesday. Mr. Mead was joining us from Zoom.
Yeah.
So I'm in my glee.
Is Mr. Mead, good morning. Is this the first time that we're having a Wild Wednesday via Zoom?
Yes, this is
in
the first
history
time
of
that
AM Prime.
in the history of AM Prime, we're now employing technology on a different level with regards to Wild Wednesday, and I am on a remote location far, far away.
Oh, this is exciting. We've made AM Prime history.
Yes. So how are you doing this morning, Mr. Mead? I know it's pretty early.
Well, not so much for me. I'm doing great. The sun is shining on my face. I feel radiant. I have a action-packed full day of all sorts of different activities, but it's not going to feel right unless I start off my Wednesdays with Wild Wednesday. So, you know.
We're so happy to have you on because you know you were able to fit us in. It's a very busy schedule.
Yes.
So I'm intrigued as to what animal you got for us today. Drum roll.
Drum roll, please.
Okay.
Let's put it this way. Jada is intrigued, but she's going to be quite happy that I'm not in studio today.
I have an inkling of what this might be.
Me too.
Let's take a guess.
A gander.
Snake.
Snake is correct.
Boa. A boa constrictor.
Not even. It's a commonly rare snake.
A commonly rare snake.
Doesn't make sense, eh? But you will understand as we proceed. So let me get this little guy out, and he's actually a tiny. This snake is a bit of a change artist because it starts off looking one way, and then as it matures, it turns into something totally different looking. So we got a tiny specimen. It starts off pretty much red or pink, and by the time it becomes an adult, it is brown. So ladies and gentlemen, presenting, I'm going to try here with my big old hand to show this lovely snake here. This beautiful little snake here is the ratonelle. Ratonelle snake. Ratonelle, yeah. Nothing to do with a rat snake. We don't really have rat snakes in Trinidad per se, but this is a ratonelle. a ratonelle snake. So you see its color, it's a beautiful snake, that sort of pink coloration there. I'm going to pull back a bit, there we go. And the head is black with a sort of yellowish band, another black band, and then it goes to red again. Very slender. It's a very young snake right now, very tiny. It will get up to about 24, 26 inches long and as thick as the index finger on an adult. So it'll get a little body on it. So right now it's very, very thread-like. So I'm holding it very gently, gingerly, because of how tiny. See, I'm really using like my fingers, not really holding it.
It's so small, I almost feel like it shouldn't be considered a snake. it could be considered more of a worm than a snake.
But remember, everything in life starts off small, and with growth and development, they get big. So this is just one example of that there. But this snake is, besides being absolutely gorgeous, when you photograph this thing, it's a stunner of a snake, a pink snake with this color. And like I said, it turns brown, a sort of cocoa brown with an amazing iridescence, a rainbow iridescence on that body. But the amazing thing about this snake is what he loves to eat.
I would assume ants. Ants or any tiny insect.
Nope. No. This snake's favorite food would be other snakes.
It's a carnivore.
Yep. Well, they all are. They all just eat meat. You're not going to find any snakes eating pumpkin and moody and stuff like that. But he prefers reptiles, including other snakes. So at this size, believe it or not, his favorite food would possibly be the small coral snake.
Okay.
So he will eat the small coral snake because they will inhabit the same regions. So under that leaf litter and under loose soil and so on there, when he comes across them, he would grab them and he would eat them, overpower them and eat them.
Oh my,
so
I'm
Mr.
trying to
Ratonelle,
understand how this little thread-like creature can, I feel like the coral snake is by far larger than...
No, the small coral, when you usually find them, is actually about this size. Or smaller. And remember, again, everything starts off small and gets bigger. So with every coral he eats, he would be growing and growing until he's over 2 feet long and have a nice girth where he can eat larger snakes.
Yeah, he gets
So the ratonelle,
so this is a baby.
Yeah, he gets big.
Right? Just remember that. He's a baby. That's why he has these amazing colors. You would never see a big snake in Trinidad with these colors. Okay, they turn brown, 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 cocoa brown as it gets bigger.
What causes them to... What causes the pigment to turn brown? Like what shift?
Well, just maturity. Same way I'm trying to find out what causes the pigmentation in my hair to go gray. Okay, it's just a progression in time and genetics and stuff like that. It's just a matter of time. That is adult frame. Some things just start off differently when they're young. I don't know if it's to lull the coral snake into believing he is one of them and not running away from them, but he kind of looks that sort of coloration when he is small. But like I said, he will get bigger, as thick as my finger, pretty big, and he will eat larger and larger prey, including even the larger coral snake and including the Ferdinand snake.
What is his attacking method for finding his next meal?
Well, he has powerful jaws that they will grab onto their prey and overpower them, wrap around them and just start swallowing them.
So he's a good constrictor.
Power. Yeah, it seems strange. Not really constriction, no. But just raw power with the jaws, and they're able to even kill them with their jaws before they even start eating them. They are so powerful. Even at this stage here, he would even take earthworms and other small stuff, small lizards. We have the smallest lizard in the world, the street gecko, lives in Trinidad. So that's a main food stay for him as he goes along his day and throughout his life. So he will eat anything that is small enough, get it into that little tiny body, and he will grow and grow until he is, from this state, almost unrecognizable. So you have to know it's the same animal to know that this grew into that. It is very, very different at that stage. Okay, so he's there sticking out his little tongue. You can probably catch that right in front there on camera. As he sticks out his tongue, he is sensing what's going on all around and so on there. And that is really important. You need to understand that they need to sense what's going on around them for safety, security, for food, everything. they stick out that tongue. It's not an aggressive act. It's just sensing. It's like you using your eyes. It's like you looking around. That's what he is doing right now. Sensing and figuring out what's going on all around him.
So what's their species?
This is actually,
what's their species? What's their species? If they're not, is it rattlesnake? You said it wasn't.
No, not rattle.
So you said it's rat snakes.
It's in family a pseudoboa.
Pseudoboa.
So it can constrict a bit there, but that is not its method of killing, not its true method of killing. It will rely more on the power in the jaws and to restrict the movement. So it's not going to just squeeze the animal and wait for it to die. It will use its jaws, and it also has quite a capacity in terms of opening those jaws to swallow animals. So when we moved, a quick story, when we moved to Freeport, we had a couple of baby iguanas that we had hatched. We were some of the first people way back in the days hatching, breeding and incubating and hatching iguanas. So we had a few baby iguanas in a cage that we hung on a tree. And our project that time was to see how fast we can grow them, how big they can get, and learn about it to be able to pass on this information. And we got up one morning and the iguana was missing. So the cage actually had a 3/4 by 3/4 wire mesh. So the iguana could not come out. But the snake, a larger ratonelle, one is about 24 inches, was able to go through the 3/4 mesh wire, capture the iguana, swallow him, and then at that stage now, he couldn't get out of the cage. So we are looking for the iguana all over on the branches and so on, no iguana. When we look at the bottom of the cage, there is this literally a fat ratonelle sitting there. You could see him almost rubbing his belly and belching and saying, oh my gosh, that iguana was delicious. But now he cannot come out of the cage because he is the size of the iguana plus his own size. So he just had to stay there and wait for us to come and release him. Okay?
So that was the end of the iguana?
Now, of course, yeah, he ate him during the night. Okay, and so the iguana was almost his size. Just to give you a perspective, almost his size. So a coral snake this size is in danger of a ratonelle this size. He will eat something almost his entire size. It can take him up to an hour to do it, but he will get it done. He was like, patience and patience, patience and patience, we'll get it done. Just apply some patience, and that's what this snake would do. So it is really an amazing snake out there. It is around your home, okay? But you will hardly ever see it. So it's a common snake that is rare. Rarely seen, but a common snake. It is there.
It's always there.
Okay, I can go my close home and just dig around and find one or traces of one and so on there. But because one, they're very nocturnal. They wait till very, very dead of night to start moving. And they just slither on the leaf litter. They hardly expose themselves until they find something to eat. So it is commonly found around your home, but rarely seen. So it is a common snake that is rare.
Other than
it's kind of strange, but that's how it is.
Other than other snakes, what do they eat? What's their diet like?
But they're reptiles. Anything in the reptile line. And fearing that they will eat smaller mammals, mice, rats, even small insects. But their main, their main purpose in life, their main fare, their main diet, their main love is reptiles. They love their reptiles. They would, they go crazy. You put reptiles and anything else, once it's the right size, they're going after that. So they're very important. We have a couple of the snakes like that in Trinidad. Another one I'm hoping to get on the show one of these days. That's called the black crebo. Okay, those are amazing snakes. They eat fertilized almost exclusively. Okay, and they're just amazing. So, they call them the hunter's friend. But it's a friend of anyone who goes in the forest to a certain extent because they predate or prey on highly venomous snakes. So this is our pseudoboa or ratonelle snake. You guys can look it up. It is native here in Trinidad, and it is absolutely harmless. You see this around the house, give them a reward. Don't harm them. There is no reason to harm this snake. He won't bite you. He won't mess with you unless you smell like a snake. So if you tell me he came after your ex, I'll leave it right there. Right there. Okay.
So you said they're pseudo-boa. Pseudo is like fake or what can seem as a copycat.
Some of the attributes of a boa constrictor or boas, but they're not really boas.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a pseudo boa.
That's interesting.
Right? But just lovely, lovely snake. He's just really calm and just interested more in the camera and looking at, wait a minute, there's a snake in that image there. He's probably want to eat himself, you know, but they're just really amazing. And the transformation and the alteration in the colors is what is just fabulous with these great creatures that are part of the 49 species of snakes we have right here in Trinidad and Tobago.
49 species.
49 species. And I intend, Jada, I'm going to bring each and every one to you live and in person, or well, via Zoom.
Except for
the smallest one.
No, except for the, out of the 49 species of snakes in Trinidad and Tobago, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 of those are venomous.
Well, 4. Well,
4.
We have more than 4 venomous, but the venom is so mild it is not considered. So there are 4 highly venomous. That means it has the potential to be fatal to a human being. Right. So those are the only ones to be considered. There are some, if they bite you, and it's very hard for them to bite you, but if they do manage to bite you, your finger may swell. So that is because there is a venom there. But only 4, the 2 coral snakes and the 2 manatees, are considered highly venomous and thus dangerous. Anything else is laughable. Nothing to worry about whatsoever.
So,
and again,
understanding that this ratonal, one of his favorite meals would be the coral snake. Is it that the venom in the coral snake would not harm the snake in any type of way? But if he was to eat a coral snake, now the venom is in him. If he happens to bite a human, does the venom transfer at all?
Right. So that is why it's important to know and understand the difference between venom and poison.
Okay.
Okay? If he eats the coral snake, nothing will happen to him because the coral snake is venomous. The coral snake will need to envenomate him. And venom must be injected. So the coral snake must bite him for it to have an effect, or you or anybody else. If you eat a coral snake, it will have no effect on you because the coral snake is not poisonous, it's venomous. So we like to say, if you eat the coral, you're good. If the coral tries to eat you, you're in trouble. You smoke your pipe. Okay? So poison has to be ingested. So if it was a poisonous snake and you ate it, then it would have an effect on you. Then you can possibly die. But fortunately for us in Trinidad and Tobago, there are no poisonous snakes. That's why a lot of times people see me sort of cringe when they say, is it poisonous? And it's because we don't have any poisonous snakes. Snakes in our country are not poisonous. In fact, there is only one known poisonous snake in the entire world. And it lives in?
India.
Australia.
Wow,
India is calm. Australia is the home of, 80% of the snakes in Australia are venomous.
What is the one poisonous snake in the world?
It's a little brown snake in Australia. I can't remember the name. It doesn't really have much of a common name. It's a long scientific name. But not only is it poisonous, if you eat it, it will die. It is also venomous. So if it tries to eat you, you will also die. So it's a snake to just leave alone.
So that snake, he looks, does he have a name first?
Name? No. This was not my intended guess this morning. But a neighbor found it on the driveway coming in, managed to capture it and brought it to me for identification. And things like this make me feel so good because in normal Trini ways, chop it in 2 and then take a picture and then ask me afterward, is this dangerous? So he was able to capture it in a small bottle and then brought it to me and said, I found the snake on the driveway. Is it dangerous? And I looked at it and there was joy in my heart because I haven't seen one in a while. Like I said, it's common but rarely seen.
Yes.
And where I live for the most part right now, it's more of a concrete jungle. So there are occasions when they will come across a driveway or something like that there, and this is one, and he found it and he did not harm it. So after today, I will be taking him to a new location and releasing him to live his very best life, hopefully away from humans that will seek to separate his body with a tree line.
So speaking now on predators, that little thing looks so small. So as a baby, how do they, because yes, they hide, but how do they exactly protect themselves?
Well, by their natural behavior, one being nocturnal, You eliminate almost most of the humans.
Okay.
And they live in leaf litter and stuff on the ground. So he will be able to move through litter quite easily without being detected. In fact, I was looking to see if he escaped because I have some mulch in our container. And as I put him in there, he goes under the mulch and he vanishes. And it takes a little bit of looking to find him. So he doesn't expose himself. They're stealth. The fact that they don't make noise, they don't leave trails, that's how they protect themselves, by just being stealthy.
They're introverted.
Stay away.
They're introverted.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Until it comes to time for food, then they're very much hungry-verted. They come out big time.
Yeah.
Big time they come after their food.
So I'm wondering about birds. Do they get picked off by birds or can they?
Of course they can. But again, most of the birds that would function, that would seek to do them harm or consume them, would be diurnal. So Mother Nature knows how. You know, these creatures have been surviving for millennia. So they know what to do. The biggest fear factor they have would be human beings. You know, we find ways, you know, when we clear land and dig them up or go garden it back and we see them, instead of live and let live, understanding, recognizing, we look to kill and then ask questions. And that is quite sad. That's a cultural thing that we are fighting to change. That's what this program is about, and educating people is about. Changing hearts, changing minds through education. Knowledge is power. Don't ever doubt it.
Yes.
Right? Just look at the things that stupid people do, and you know why. You know, I don't have to point out, but we know why. Knowledge is power. So we have to get people to be in a state of power and knowledge and education and acceptance to make better decisions going forward.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mead, we understand that there's an event coming up, the Basic Wildlife Rehabilitation.
Right.
I see here it's a 2-day course with lecture topics, lab work, online homework, and exams. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So way back when we started the Wildlife Center, it was basically an education center. And a lady called Jetta Birch, who we consider the mother of wildlife rehabilitation in Trinidad and Tobago, came to us and said, so what happens when your animals get injured? I'm like, well, we take them to the vet. And she says, well, no, that can't really work because most vets aren't trained in wildlife rehabilitation. They can do surgical procedures, medical procedures, but they don't know most of the wild animals and they don't know what to do with regards to wild animals in terms of handling post and you know, pre and post surgery care and stuff like that. She said, so you have to learn wildlife rehabilitation. So I never even really thought about that concept before, and so we started investigating. So our first volunteer went to a wildlife conference in 2009 in Virginia, West Virginia, and she came back speaking Greek to me and concepts and so on, and I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So we always butted heads. 2010, I went and did the conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I came back and we were able to speak the same language and we understood the importance of wildlife rehabilitation, especially in a country like Trinidad and Tobago where we are so diverse. So many animals, almost 500 birds, 49 species of snakes, 70 species of bats, and the mammal list and the fish list, and the list goes on and on. We are incredibly diverse, yet we have very, very little skill set in terms of handling and dealing with situations where the animals are injured and orphaned. So there began the center on a new tangent, a new journey, not just an education center, but a wildlife rehabilitation center, where we use education as a tool to teach people. So we have done over the years more than 300 species of animals. We have done lots of birds, lots of snakes, you name it, we have done it all. From the largest animal we have rehabbed would have been, or worked with, would have been an Atlantic bottlenose dolphin. And some of the smallest would have been the hummingbirds. You know, we get hummingbirds and we've raised hummingbirds where the nests have gotten knocked down and couldn't find the parents around, and we've gotten them to fly off into the wild, all with a lot of help from our followers and supporters. But there is a process and a way for this to be done. So we brought the course. We realized this course was so important in our lives and changing how we do wildlife in Trinidad and Tobago that we thought it was important for everyone who is interested in this to have access to this course. So in 2013 was the first year we brought down the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council to Trinidad and Tobago, and they taught the course for basic wildlife rehabilitation. And then every year since then, except for during that COVID 2-year time, we have brought them down and they have trained upwards of 20 people in basic wildlife rehabilitation. This way, we have people with skill sets we can call upon to be wildlife rehabilitators. Some people just have the lovely certificate on their wall, but some people get active. And we have done so much. We have seen our skills and capability grow from 2013 to now. So now we're into what, 15 and 3. We're now into 12 years now. 12 years now of having the people coming in. So they're coming in on the 7th and the 8th of June, and we're going to be doing the full 2-day course. The same course we do away, but not.
Okay, so it seems we're just experiencing a little bit of a visual technical difficulty there.
We have gone to the pain and effort of bringing the people here online, and they come and they give you everything that you would get there right here. You don't have to worry about any hotel, any transfers, any currency exchange. Right here, you do it right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And there's a strong focus this year on turtles. So we have a turtle in the background there because we're trying to form a Turtle Hospital Association in Trinidad and Tobago. So by doing the turtles this year, the turtle people who need the basic wildlife rehabilitation now adapted to turtles will be able to start functioning and assist turtles as they wash ashore, stranded, floating, injured, boat strikes. All sort of things happen to turtles, and people usually just ignore them because who do we go to? But with the advent now of the Turtle Hospital Association and different turtle hospitals, we would be able to seek the interests of these amazing, amazing creatures who have been around for millions of years.
Yeah. So what can, attendees, what's one thing that they can look forward to most, leaving this event?
Well, after your exam, so there is an exam. So it's 2 days. The first day, this Saturday, is all theory. A lot of slide work, a lot of theory. Sunday, come and be ready to get your hands dirty, put on your gowns, put on your masks, put on your gloves. You're going to be doing various hands-on. And most people are really excited about the hands-on because we bring out the cadavers. We have several cadavers, including we will have a turtle cadaver this year because, again, there's an emphasis on dealing with turtles so that the turtle people can have this basis. So we have turtle cadavers, we have mammalian cadavers, we have different bird cadavers, and you will learn things from intramuscular sub-Q injections, how to wrap wings, how to treat with broken bones, how to do physical examinations, how to stabilize the body of an animal, how to deal with the animal being too hot, too cold, wet, you name it. A lot of things are going to be dealt with. That lab, that day, that Sunday morning is incredible. Everybody is buzzing about that. Yeah. Besides, you get a slight odor from the animals. The animals are dead, of course. We are not allowed to use any live animals for this process because of international standards which we adhere to through the IWRC. But the cadavers, you're able to manipulate them and know that the animals will not be in any pain and suffering as you learn how to administer fluid or administer food and stabilize the animals and keep it in proper, or even to restrain the animals. So it's all safe, very humane. We stress on that, very, very important. It's very humane. As we learn, we should not cause pain and discomfort to other animals. We should try to minimize that. The days for that have gone. We have gone beyond that, so now we do it in a safe and a humane manner. And then after it all, you get a break, and after lunch, you have your exam. And once you have your exam, you will be welcomed aboard the Wildlife Rehab Fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago and internationally. You will be presented with your certificate that shows that you have gone through this course and you're passed. And this certificate you can take anywhere in the world and say, look, I have basic. Let's go from here. Let's build from here.
So would you say this event is for persons who are aspiring to become a vet one day, or maybe just an animal lover who's interested?
Right, so very important to note, we do have a lot of vets come in and take this program because their wildlife component in their tertiary education is oftentimes limited. So we give them a nice supplement that boosts their capability and their skill set. But it's not just a person who wants to be a vet. In the world of wildlife and wildlife rehabilitation, not everybody's a vet. The vet does something with the animal and sends it home. So if the animal has to be under care or rehab for 6 months, the vet is not the one doing that. Basically, the nurses, the wildlife rehabilitators are the ones going to feed the animal, clean the animal, change the bandages, take it back to the vet for x-rays, further tests, adjustments, and so on. So there's a whole lot more people besides the vet. The vet is the main person doing the medical and the clinical. But on a daily basis, the vet is not the one who is going to be changing bandages, applying medications and stuff like that. You just wouldn't be able to afford to have a vet come to your house or your place every way to do that. So you have lots of staff and people, animal care technicians and so on, that do stuff like that. Even foster moms are critical. Fostering, because we have a serious situation where every single day just about somebody's dogs kill a manicoot, and then you have the babies. And the babies aren't usually 1 or 2. You get up to 8, sometimes 10. So we need, we cannot run out of foster moms. So this program, training in next month, will hopefully create a couple more foster moms. Some, a couple of volunteers will feel it within their hearts and say, I want to do this. Mm-hmm. And then they've got the basic, and now we teach them further and help them to be foster moms. Because with a manicoot, when you have to feed every 2 hours, 10 of them, and traditional feeding methods, by the time you finish feed 10, you have to start all over again. So the entire day would be just feeding a batch of manicoot. But we train them and we give them better equipment, so they're able to do it quickly, efficiently, and still have a life and do other things going forward.
Yeah. So this rehabilitation course or lecture will take place at the, can you put it up on your screen, Nanan's Bird Sanctuary waiting area in Caroni.
Yes.
It's going to be from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, so that means get there before 8 a.m., guys.
Definitely, Trini, and the lateness. But right now, if you go online, it will say that the course is closed because if people have a standard, they shut off course. But if anyone communicates with me, we can, if they're really interested in doing the course, we can have it open to allow them to register for the course and get in on time. So we have a couple more weeks to go, just about a little short of a couple of weeks. Yeah. So it's a good time to, you can reach out to me, give us a call at the center, reach out to us social media, any way you can. Okay, well, the number for the center is 366-4369. So you can reach out and say, hey, I want this course, but online it says closed. And I'm like, okay, don't worry. I'll pull a string. I'll get you in. And you just do your thing. You communicate directly with the membership manager, and she will get you into the course, send you your homework. You have homework before you come to the course. So the first thing you'll get is your ebooks. Start reading them, learn, understand, get your questions ready. So when they start the process on Saturday morning, you're not like, wow, this is a new world. And from 10 to 110 can do this course. There are no prerequisites. We assume at 10 years old, you have a good basic understanding of mathematics, because there's a little bit of calculations, not much, that you must do to calculate with the weight of the animal, how much medication, how much fluids. It's simple stuff that a 10-year-old can understand. Our youngest person to do this course in Trinidad was 10 years old. And like I said, it goes to 110. But if you're 110, you need to come with 2 letters from your parents to make sure that you're able to do the course.
This sounds like a very comprehensive course, but based on what I'm seeing here, the lectures and the lab work, this is what a university seems like it would offer. So the cost for this, the standard cost is $307 US. And you have a couple more weeks, as you would have said, to get your stuff together to do this course. It is on Saturday the 7th and Sunday the 8th of June in Caroni at Nanan's Bird Sanctuary waiting area. The time again, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So Mr. Mead, what would be your last words to encourage people to come out and take this course, so maybe on the fence about it? How would you entice them to know that it is a very comprehensive course and I will be taking away a lot from it?
Okay, so Ricardo is not teaching the course. He's assisting with the labs and everything. When I start teaching the course, I will teach in China. That's going to be my first listed place to go and teach the course. So we have someone with tremendous experience from the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council. They are the international governing body that says, hey, this is how we do wildlife rehabilitation. And they do a lot of dynamic work all around the world. They send their people all around the world to areas that have been struck by disasters and stuff like that, from oil spills to hurricanes to earthquakes in Pakistan. The guy who's coming to teach this course, a great friend of mine, because it's been 11 years we've been, doing on this course, and I've been learning from them. He's been in Pakistan with earthquakes, rescuing dogs and cats, and great experience, tremendous experience. That's coming here. He was in South Africa when they had that tremendous oil spill, and close to 2 million jackass penguins were affected. No, I didn't call the penguins jackass. They're jackass penguins. Jackass penguins, that's their name. All right? And they were affected. So he was down there with International Bird Rescue and the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council. So you're having someone coming here with tremendous international experience, coming to train you right in your backyard. I would suggest you take advantage of this opportunity to grasp this opportunity to learn and grow and start your work. Even if you're doing just a little thing in your backyard, it's good to know that you're doing the right thing and getting birds back out there instead of just creating pets that are dependent on people.
Again, I really like the idea of this course and that it's being offered to us in Trinidad, especially as it's almost supplementary for vet education to learn more about wildlife. Because as you said, we have a lot of wildlife here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we don't really know how to, the average person is not to take care of them. So I'm glad that this is open to the public. Again, just to remind everybody, you can take a look at the flyer. If you can go up on the screen, take a screenshot, guys. Or you can always head to their social media you can call the number, Mr. Mead. Do you mind repeating just once more for us?
The number to call is 366-4369.
366-4369. Get on this, guys. This is still a deal. Because that's a lot. There's a lot that's going on. There's so much theory and so much lab work, and you actually get into work on cadavers. That's pretty cool. And that is pretty cool. Mr. Mead, can you show us the snake just once more before we wrap up?
Let's see. I have to go and actually find him again. Remember, someone would really see me. I popped him in here, and after he tried to escape and he realized I couldn't get out, he just like, okay, let me go and hide in the litter. So I'm digging through the litter here, and wait a minute, maybe this time he did escape. Maybe. Hold on, I saw movement. Yep, there we go. It is not the easiest thing, I'm telling you, to find and see this thing. Here we go. So we got him here again, right? So we're gonna end on a little.
So that's our little rational friend. I think we can, if we were to give him a name.
Rational. Well, he's pink. I can call him Pinky.
Where was he found? The location.
In Chickland.
Chickland. So Chickland.
Yeah, Chickland.
Chickland.
Yeah.
Hi, Chickland. Bye, Chickland.
See the black marks on his head, like if he has brains, and his pink body. Yeah. So he could be the pinky and the brain right there. That's him right there.
Love that.
Pinky and the brain. I love that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to do. I hope I have someone with me when I go to release him. I do a quick video. I'm not good at do the self videos and release snakes and so on. Sometimes I just toss the camera aside and focus on releasing the animal. But if I have someone, we can do a really nice video, and you will see how fast this snake disappears as soon as it hits the ground. It's one slither and it's between leaves, and you can't see it again. So you got to be quick with it.
Wow.
All right.
He is gone.
Wow. Oh, Mr. Mead, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy morning and joining us via Zoom, making AM Prime history with our little rational friend. Chickland.
Oh, we can call him Pinky.
Oh, Pinky.
Yeah. So thank you very much as usual for having me. Thank you for those following and listening out there. And maybe we might start a trend where we can get some really crazy stuff on AM Prime by using this Zoom platform.
Yes.
Maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe.
Yes,
you can look out for that. So yes, if you guys have enjoyed this episode and you learned a lot, let us know. Head to the website, head to our social media, WhatsApp us, and let us know that you're enjoying it and what you want to see more of. So as we wrap, thanks so much for staying with AM Prime today. Our quote of the day is by Henry Ford. It says, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. And the reason why I would have thought about that quote is because of what Mr. Mead was saying in regards to the course. Keep on learning. Keep on progressing. Keep on keeping your mind young.
As long as you're alive and breathing, learning never stops. Learning never stops. There's always something new to learn.
Yes.
So that was a very incredible quote. Very powerful. Yes. All right, guys. So stay safe, stay inspired, stay informed. Stay around for Talking Point with Sean Michael Small on the hour of 8 o'clock. We'll see you back here again tomorrow morning.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe.
WESN.
Her voice has mesmerized us for years.
And now, in a rare treat for music fans,
Shakuntala and Friends in concert, featuring Shakuntala Jang Bahadur. Singing sensation Nepal Jeklal, brilliant musician Dr. Shivanan Maharaj, master flautist and saxophonist Narendra Maharaj, with music from Shiv Sangeet Orchestra, Shakuntala and Friends in concert.
Shakuntala.
The Little Store offers you a great shopping experience in cool comfort with knowledgeable, helpful staff. Our large aisles and well-organized shelves are filled with quality puja materials, incense sticks, tasty mithai, and homemade yogurt. Come to us for all your Indian groceries and spices, SAS paper sahari leaves, household items, sewing supplies, religious books, and lots more. You can depend on the Little Store, your store. It's an honor to serve you.
When it comes to Pira and Laddu, I just use Chatak's Laddu and Pira Mithai Mix. It's a combination of traditional ingredients in one pack. I don't spend all that time preparing different ingredients like Ma. 3/4 of the work is done. So now I can make fresh, delicious Pira and Laddu in about 15 minutes with the convenience of Chatak's Laddu and Pira Mithai Mix. Now Ma's Kitchen is a Chatak kitchen. Now available Gulab Jamun Instant Mithai Mix.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle from the first restaurant in 1968 when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food.